I am working on building about a 1 mile long road up to the house site I want to build a new house on. This here is a drone video that I took showing the road that I've built so far. There's the dozer I'm using, and then on up there's my UTV. This is the hardest part of the road right here where it cuts around that corner. It's about a 40-degree slope. It's going to be steep and hard. And then it's going to come on up through this valley. The whole thing's going to be fairly steep, about 10% grade. And then it comes up here. I have to figure out how to get past those rocks and then up onto the plateau. And we'll be building the house up here in the top right corner, kind of top middle corner, overlooking the fields and the farmland around us. It should be a gorgeous spot. As you can see here, but it's going to take a lot of work to build this road, so we'll see how I do. This is my first time ever building a road, so you can see my plan here. It's about a 1 mile route up a pretty steep hill. I'm going to make a series of videos here on how I do it. It's my first time ever building a road, so please subscribe and like, and you'll see a lot of interesting content. Alright, so I started a couple hours ago trying to build a road. I started down there, and I've got the dozer and up around this corner a little bit now. The stakes are helping me keep level. I'll show you a little more of that soon. Here I'm running the bulldozer to clear off the side of this hill. This hill is probably about a 25-degree slope. You can see the dozer at a pretty good incline going up and down. My method was to push some soil down the hill a little bit to establish a base and then cut across it. Okay, so making a lot of progress with the bulldozer on the road. You can see I've made it up to here where my UTV is. A lot of this needs to be cleaned up, smoothed out, evened out. I want to make it a little wider. This section I'm probably going to push some more dirt into, so it's more of a steady incline. Right now it's a little bit of, you start up here and then it kind of dips down and evens out down there, but I want to make it a little bit more level. We'll see how that goes. This phase actually took a lot more work than I was thinking initially. You can see me really widening out that curve because I want to be able to take semi-trucks and things up here. I need cement trucks and also a big water drilling rig to come up the road to so I can build my house up there. So I actually had to cut a lot out of this hill. It probably took several hours of work right here. I've had this strange on again, off again leak. Right here in this video you can see it really spurting out, a ton of hydraulic oil coming out, but I'm not quite ready to take it apart and fix the fitting. Okay, I'll show you how I'm calculating the slope of this road. It's quite a steep road. I've got to get up about 300 feet vertically. So I'm using this board, which I've made flat. And usually I'm actually using it mounted on something and then eyeballing to see what the level is. But this is an easier way to understand, I think. So you can see the board kind of tells me roughly what the slope is right here in this spot. The angle gets a little shallower, you can see down this way, and a little bit steeper right here. I'm going to need to cut that out a bit. But if you look at this board, or if you look at what I have on top of this, this is called an inclinometer. It shows you the degrees away from zero that you are. And you can see right here on this, it says about probably 7 or 8. Now my goal is to be around a 5, because a 5 degrees is a little less than a 10% incline. And a 10% incline is about as much as you're going to want for a gravel road. So I've been trying to maintain that coming up here, because we're going to need to bring up cement trucks, the well drilling, big semi trucks, that sort of thing when we drill the well for our house at the top. So this is probably a little bit too steep of an angle. I'll probably cut a little bit more up here with a dozer and move it down there in that little dip and try and even it out a bit. So yeah, so this is the general idea of how it works. And then now what I do is I'll mount the board either on my UTV or maybe on the dozer or something. And I'll try and sight in what is going to be about that 10% 5-degree slope. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I've got this board set up so that it is at about a 10% incline. That'll help me to judge where to take the road next, how to curve up and around this hill. You can see down here I got a little steep there. I'm going to fix that up, but basically this helps me sight it in. If you look at the number on here, you'll see it's right there about a little less than 5 degrees. And so if I look at this as I go up the hill, I should have an idea of where I need to be. You can see that's about the level I can go. So, you know, something like this coming off of it out over that way, I'd probably need to be going out this way up around this hill to maintain my angle. And what I do is I use T-posts. So I have this one here that was my last one, and I moved the T-post I had down there. Now it's right here. I'm going to move it up, and I'll mark that spot over there in the direction that I need to go to be at the right angle. So that probably would be, you know, something like out over in there on the edge of the hill pretty much. So the road will continue out this way. Then it needs to go around behind there, which is kind of a little harder. I'll probably have to reset my setup again to judge the angles. We'll see. Okay, so I sped this up a little bit, but basically this is what I do. I come out here and look at it and try and judge and make sure I understand where exactly on the hill I need to get to, and then I'll walk out there with my T-post and I'll pound that T-post in right where I want to be. So you can see me over there trying to look and gauge and judge. Now I'm pounding it in over where I'm going to take the road direction-wise. Another way to use the inclinometer is just by sighting along this. I like the board because it gives you a longer sight line and I feel like it might be a little more accurate. But you see right here I can sight it in, looking down at the top of the other T-post down there by the dozer. And then look right here. Use my left eye. Get the angle right off the top. And then I can look over there and it's right at about hair below 5%. So I can come a little above this. But yeah, that kind of shows you how this is going to go. It's going to come through here. I have a big problem in that it gets real steep up here. I'm not really sure what to do because if I have to bring this road up and around here, I'm going to have to be basically right on this really steep hill right here. So what I can do is I can go up there and push down a ton of dirt and kind of semi-fill it in, basically is what I think I'm going to have to do. And then I'll have a wider road. That's what I did back over in that other steep hill, but this one's steeper, so it's probably going to take even more dirt. We will see. Okay, so you can see the top of the red post pounder on top of my T-post over there. Now, one of my big dilemmas that I don't really know what to do is all along here we have this valley, this gully that actually rises quite a bit. One of my concerns in cutting in this road is what if a car comes along, and this is a very steep hill like this, and once I cut in the road, it'll push out some fill, and then it'll be a steep edge, 10, 15 foot edge. What happens if a car goes off, rolls off? It'd be disastrous. One thing I could do is, and one idea I had early on was merge it down into the bottom of the creek bed, basically run the road there. I could have it a little bit elevated, cut out of the edge of the hill. So it's a couple feet above where the water will run off. But we live in a very dry area, so there's not a ton of that each year. And then I could follow this on up and then come out of the creek bed up further. Might create me a little more problems up ahead. And also the road I already built probably could have been done down in the creek bed. But also, like, I'd be losing, there's probably about, I don't know, 20 feet of elevation gain, 30 feet of elevation gain I have with above where I'm at right now with the road coming up through here. So I'm not quite sure what to do. So I decided to climb this hill across the way to get another perspective on the problem. You can see the dozer out there. You can see the red fence pounder right there, and how it's above. It's not that crazy much above the creek bed right now. It's kind of right down there. Now, eventually this road has to make it to the top of that hill way in the distance, the highest one. And the best way to go is if you can just get on top of this plateau here. You have nice, pretty level driving on up and around. So I need to get on top of this plateau. The quicker the better, and the safer the better. But with my positioning already pretty low down there, it might be a better idea just to run it in near the creek bed. As you can see, the valley runs down under here and then comes up over here. I might end up getting myself stuck with too steep of a road out of that valley potentially later, which is one of the reasons I just decided to cut it in at the 10% incline all the way, if I can do that. So this rather significant slope, pretty steep down there, steep over there. So basically somewhere, I gotta come up along this hillside from way down there and come up, and potentially somewhere get up high enough so I can get up over that hill. And I still have the next hill to go too. That's kind of a challenging little problem. Okay, so I looked at the terrain map in Onyx Hunt, and about the steepest 10% coming all the way up the whole way from that red post that we were just looking at, down through this valley, kind of along this hill, slowly climbing, and then coming up out to this point, which is kind of going to be my access point to the plateau up there. Basically, I have to stick along the edge of the hillside climbing at 10% the whole way, but that's going to be a lot of work because I push down with the dozer to build up a ledge, and then I go along the ledge and cut it. And it's a little bit of a less safe pathway, but I don't know if I don't think I can get up and around the other way. I think it gets too steep over on the back side of this, and I can't continue up and then turn. It's just too steep back there. So I think my only choice is just to do what I'm doing. I might walk over there and take a look personally and see too. See, one of my problems is that this slope here is roughly around 40 degrees. And that's kind of dangerous for driving and for even doing stuff on the dozer on. I could go back behind where I was. You can see my dirt way down there, where I've been with my way back there at the corner. I'm zoomed in, so that's quite a ways back. And then I can dip down and just follow the edge of this valley on up, and that would be a lot safer way to go, I think. but I don't know if I can get up at the end. I'll have to walk down there at the end and take a closer look. Oh look, bones. Bones of the dead.